Welcome to Empower Her Radio, the space for powerhouse women ready to step into their next level of abundance, purpose, and personal freedom. I'm Dr. Corey Winn, a high performance coach, doctor of physical therapy, philanthropist, and business consultant. I help ambitious women align with their highest calling, expand their wealth and impact, and create a life that feels as good as it looks. If you're a high achieving woman who's built success yet finds yourself craving more alignment, more purpose, more ease, you're in the right place. Here, we bridge the gap between ambition and fulfillment. Through transformative conversations and proven strategies, you'll gain the courage to step into the fullest expression of you. Build a powerhouse business that aligns with your expertise and divine gifts, and lead your life, both personally and professionally, with unshakable confidence, worthiness, and compassion. This is about expansion, legacy, and owning your power unapologetically. You already have everything inside of you to create a life of unlimited possibility. It's time to unlock it. Welcome to your next level. Let's dive in. This episode of Empower Her Radio with Dr. Corey Winn is brought to you by Her Quantum Rise, the private coaching experience for the woman who refuses to play small. Her Quantum Rise is where high-achieving women come to elevate their leadership, align with their deepest purpose, and unlock overflow in every area of life. This is where you shed the old paradigm, step into your highest identity, and rise with clarity, certainty, and unstoppable momentum. If you are ready to move from doing it all to leading from grounded power, if you feel the pull toward a bigger life, a bigger mission, and a bigger capacity to receive, then I would love to explore what this next level looks like for you. Book a complimentary call at www.corywin.com/free call and step into the room where your expansion becomes inevitable. Your rise starts here. Today, we are diving into one of the most important conversations for high achieving women, and one that also sets my soul on fire. Reclaiming our vitality, setting boundaries, and stepping into the life we're truly designed for. I'm so honored to introduce our guest today, Dee Davidson. She is sought-after hormone health expert, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, and the host of Confidently Balance Your Hormones podcast. Dee helps women break free from burnout and hidden stress by uncovering the root causes behind their health struggles. Her mission is to help women prioritize self-love, restore balance, and reclaim their energy holistically. Dee, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
So tell us how you got here. I'd love for you to kind of start with the beginning of your journey and share what life looked like 10, 15 years ago.
Oh gosh, this is a long story, so I'll make it as compact as
I
possible.
don't I don't mind long. We'd love to hear it all.
My oldest son, who was conceived through the blessing of IVF, is going to be 15 in a couple of months, which is crazy to think that he's going to be 15. That is really where my holistic health, my hormone health journey began. Up until that point, was the probably typical, American woman who was buying Tide, eating whole wheat bread, doing my elliptical, right? Doing all of the things that we just do on autopilot. I find that so many people are on autopilot, use the products that their mom used or
Oh,
their
yeah.
family used. They're so unaware because they haven't had a reason to really dive into these topics or look at holistic health. And that's where I was at about 17 years ago, 2 years prior to my son being conceived. My joke is that many of us also spent a lot of years trying to prevent getting pregnant. That was me. I was on birth control from the age of 17 until my early 30s when I was trying to conceive. And then we go to have children. We're like, what the heck? This isn't as easy as they say for some of us, right?
Right.
And I do have a belief that with all of that time of being on birth control, that I put my body into a coal mine. It just did not know what to do. And my belief around that is that, going through infertility treatments on the first cycle, I was blessed to be able to, conceive my son. And then with my second son, we thought, all right, well, it might take us a while again. And first try, he was conceived naturally. So I think that was like the jump start or showing my body like this is what you do now. I think I just put it into a coma. But going back to that point, I was put into this category called unexplained infertility. And I don't think that there is any good diagnosis when you're trying to conceive and you can't. But being in this category, unexplained infertility, just did not sit well with me because I like answers. That's why I do what I do and I
I was
help
gonna
people get to
say,
the root cause.
you and I are very similar. That's not an answer. Help me
Yeah,
understand.
I want an answer, right? So I started to join some support groups and I'm a very spiritual person and I think that God just led me to this person who had started this specific group. I forget the name. She had some funny name for the infertility group, but she had gone through infertility struggles and she would bring women together to educate on what hidden stressors might be going on, whether it be pesticides in your food, or I started to learn about my personal care products. I had switched to healthier food, but I was lathering in like Bath and Body Works and Pantene shampoo and didn't
Uh-huh.
realize that these products had hormone disrupting chemicals in them. So I started to really open up that box and open up my mind to, oh my gosh, we are exposed to so many things that most women, couples children weren't exposed to just, 20, 30 years ago. And our body just can't keep up with that toxic body burden. It is affecting our hormone health. So I started to clean up a lot of that stuff. And I'll never know, was it because of that I conceived so easily? Was it because my body got the jump start through IVF? Who knows? But I definitely know that it opened me up to my God-given purpose of what I'm doing now. And my hormone health journey is really in three parts. One is that was the hormone awakening, if you will, right? People have this
Hmm.
spiritual awakening. That was my hormone awakening. I never
Yeah.
even knew what hormones did. I thought they just were about having your period and having babies. I never thought of
Uh-huh.
men having hormones, right? But
Hmm.
hormones are a control panel. They have everything to do with every biological process, your brain and nervous system, your pituitary gland, your adrenals, your thyroid, your metabolism, your insulin. Everything is connected to your hormones. So that was the first time that I really started to understand what your hormones were responsible for. And then post children, now I was in the best shape of my life prior to having my kids. I like working out, I was eating healthy. Post having kids, and I nursed, both my children, my second till he was 2, and people said, if you just keep nursing, you'll lose the weight. Something was wrong with my body. After nursing all that time, I just was 50 pounds heavier, and I'm only 5 foot tall. I always say 5 foot and a half to get that half inch in there. But I couldn't lose the weight and I was doing the same things and I knew something metabolically was wrong. And I do again believe that um, all the hormone injections and all of that stuff, yes, it helped me to get pregnant, but on the other side, my body was really, really wonky after both pregnancies. And so again, I had to learn about my hormones and my metabolism and rebalancing. And just to give you a little background, my background career-wise is in financial services prior to this. So I was in the financial services industry for almost 2 decades. And then I decided when I had my boys that I wanted to be home with them. So I thought I wanted to be my whole life. I thought I was going to be a stay-at-home mom and go to play
Uh-huh.
dates and do all of these things. And then once I was home for 2 years, I realized like I had lost my identity, my
Hmm.
sense of purpose. I was really depressed. I was like walking around the grocery store, probably spit up and cookies on myself, and I just didn't. There were days I didn't shower, so I had to start to dive into like, well, what do I want to do? Because I definitely don't want to go to corporate world. I went to school for business, but it was the most boring job of my life, and I know that I'm meant for more. So I started to explore holistic health and started to talk to some of the health coaches and people that I had worked with for my own health and my kids' health at this point. And so that's what brought me to get into first the health coaching space. I started with fitness and nutrition. And then I
Hmm.
realized that you can move the needle with a lot of people. And that's what's frustrating is when you go to the doctor and they say, eat less and exercise more, or you have to just reduce stress. There truly
Yeah.
are hidden stressors in our body, whether it be liver is sluggish or we have bad gut bacteria or
Uh-huh.
our hormones are out of balance that you can't see without having tests. My slogan is test, don't guess. And that is really why I went back to school again to be a functional health practitioner, because the coaching was great. And you do need to learn the foundationals, how to balance your blood sugar, that sleep's
Right.
important, and what to eat, all of
Right.
those things, that you're getting enough protein. But at the end of the day, especially women, we beat ourselves up so badly. Like we are failing, like something's wrong with us, like we're broken. We're not broken toys. We don't need to be fixed. But without data, sometimes you can't get to the other side. You can't work on those healing opportunities. You don't see the vital voids that might be lying there. And so that's why I went back to school again. And I just love the functional lab piece because you can have some real scientific data and then address and make a strategic plan based on your individualized situation. Everybody is so different. Just because you're in perimenopause or trying to conceive or menopause doesn't mean you should eat the same amount of protein or take the same magnesium, or everybody's so different and everybody's situation is so different that we have to look at people as bio individuals.
Well, and I just really want to highlight a couple of things that you said to give women permission right here today to recognize traditional medicine may not be working for them. I mean,
Mhm.
so many of us have gone and had things thrown at us. I had physicians want to put me on cholesterol medicine when I was in high school. I mean, all sorts of
Wow.
things. And the minute that you hear another woman say, no, this is not working for me, it opens a door for others. So I hope that our audience hears you today saying, if what you're doing is not working, you're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. You just need to find a health practitioner who will listen to you
Mhm.
and do the testing that's needed. Because you're right, we don't know. I'm a health practitioner too, obviously a physical therapist,
Yeah.
um not the same as you, but we need objective data sometimes to really look at the whole picture. And until you have that, you don't truly know what's going on. And like you said, all of the hormones are so intertwined. It's not just one.
Mhm.
So thank you for that, because so many women who I've spoken with have felt dismissed over the years, or we've
Mhm.
heard starting in our 30s, oh, well, you're getting older, your hair is going to fall out, you're going to gain weight. It's just something that happens. And I remember hearing, well, you're getting older the first time when I was 32. And I thought, well, if this is getting older,
What?
then what's old? Because
Right.
what? Where are we? So, talk to us more about kind of some of the hormone deficiencies you see most often, or the things that the women are coming with you most often with their struggles.
Oh, yes. Great question. So my marketing is all around hormone health. I do have an advanced certification in hormone health. Um, and it's great marketing because every woman thinks if they're gaining weight, they're not sleeping, they have hot flashes, they're losing hair, their skin's creepy, they don't have a sex drive, it's got to be my hormones. Well, yes, it probably is your hormones, but your hormones I describe are the check engine light. And so, one of the things that I tell women, and I will never run just a hormone panel because, again, it leaves us without answers. You're looking at, yes, maybe your estrogen's high or low, or your progesterone or your cortisol. That's great, but we want to know, but why, right?
Mhm.
And so typically when I see hormone imbalances in women or these symptoms coming up, a lot of times they're gut related. And people don't understand that gut health, liver health, and hormones all go together. Some of the most common things, well, I think that the top thing I'm seeing is leaky gut. Do you know a
Mhm.
little bit about leaky gut?
Oh, yeah. Gut
So
health is so
leaky gut
important.
it's so important. So leaky gut, we have one layer of mucosal barrier from our throat to our anus. That's it, one layer. So if you think of your skin, it's 7 layers. It's pretty thick. It can be easily compromised. And so this gut lining can be compromised by things like alcohol, stress, pesticides, gluten's a big one. Which is, again, gluten, I really think is the pesticides, not the gluten itself. It can be compromised by toxins in our water and our products, a lot of different things. But what people don't understand is that if the food and the drink that you're having isn't being contained and sealed in your gut, you get this leaky gut and these tight junctions, they start to separate. And so things starts to travel into your bloodstream and your body doesn't really know what's going on. It just knows, all right, well, let's activate cortisol, your stress hormone. And then cortisol gets a bad rap, but cortisol is actually trying to help you and keep you alive and thriving. And cortisol will then play around with your hormones. So a lot of women will come to me with, um, bad cramps or severe periods, skip periods, PCOS, infertility, menopausal or symptoms, perimenopausal symptoms, all of these things. But once they really heal and seal their gut and take a look at what's going on in their gut, do they have the right good bacteria? Do they have bad bacterial overgrowth? Are there parasites there? Your immune system's 70% in your gut. Do they have a gluten intolerance? Once
Mm-hmm.
they do that, yes, along with the lifestyle factors, right? There's no, I'm really leery of practitioners who just prescribe lots of supplements. And I get a lot of people that go to someone else first and they kind of meet like, this is the plan I got. There's like $700 of supplements every month. I just want to say to the listeners that you can't supplement your way back to health. We have to look at, yes, what's going on? Where are the healing opportunities and the vital voids? But then we take that and talk about like how you might have gotten there, not to shame or beat ourselves up, but to take personal responsibility and feel empowered that now
Mm-hmm.
I have the information. But with that, I have to maybe change some things, whether it be eliminating gluten or
Right.
asking yourself, why are you having alcohol, multiple times a week? Or,
Mm-hmm.
why aren't you going to bed? Why are you doom scrolling? So that is one of the biggest things that I see is leaky gut. And then the next layer is like, well, why is your gut leaky? And that's all trickling to hormones as well as liver. A lot of women will say to me that, oh, well, I don't drink or I don't drink a lot, and I eat organic food, but if people could understand that your liver processes nearly everything, including anger, I also relate back to emotions that we store. A lot of women are walking around with sluggish livers, so that the liver binds up extra hormones. It's important for cholesterol. Like we talk about, you were saying about your cholesterol medication, don't eat eggs and don't eat red meat. I'm like, that's all just such BS. We have to talk about like, why isn't your body binding up extra cholesterol and getting it out of your body, right? So the liver and the gut completely related to the hormones and conversations that need to be had for sure.
Well, and so many people don't know anything about leaky gut syndrome. And also, I mean, let's be honest. As a whole, we don't want to do things that are hard. We don't want to change our things. We don't want to
Totally.
not eat at McDonald's. We don't want to
Totally.
stop drinking. So when you find that woman who is like, okay, I am ready. I am done feeling this way. In the past when I was a health coach and now in more high level coaching, kind of executive coaching, I found that when that woman comes to you, it doesn't matter what you tell her, she's going to do it.
Hmm.
She's
Hmm.
so done and ready to feel better.
Right.
Is that what you found too in your practice?
Yes, absolutely. I think because you and I work with the same type of demographic where we're not, I learned that, right? When I started health coaching that, if I'm especially pricing the investment at a certain place, you're going to attract the women who are ready because, I do tell people, even if they do have the money to invest, if you're not willing to make these changes, for example, I had someone have a discovery session with me a couple months ago. She actually heard me on a podcast and she said, Dee, if I were to know that, I potentially had a diagnosis of death, whatever, if I kept drinking wine, I would still keep drinking wine. I'm like, we are not a fit, right?
Right.
So, I'm always transparent with people because you have to be ready to create a new identity. And I don't know if you follow Dr. Joe Dispenza at all. Have you heard
Yes,
of him?
I do.
But,
Yes, I
it's
do.
breaking the habit of being you, literally. And yeah, a lot of my clients are 40, 50, 60 years old. They're like, but this is what I've done, until now. And the key is to understand that we have to retrain the mind that this might have been the way we operated, but being open to creating this new identity. Not a new, you don't have to become a whole new person inside when you change your personality, but your habits and your beliefs definitely need to change so that you can support the healing process.
Well, and let's be perfectly honest too, what we've always done has gotten us where we are.
Mm-hmm. Get more of
Wherever that is, that could be
that.
incredible success, that could be bottom of the barrel, it could be somewhere in the
That's
middle,
right.
but like what we've always done has gotten us there. And if we want quantum leaps in our health, in our businesses, in our world, it requires us to change our personal reality, as Dr. Joe Dispenza always says.
Yes.
So what are some other hidden stressors, if there's any that you haven't mentioned outside of, alcohol and sleep and just sluggish livers? Is there anything else that you're seeing that our clients don't typically know about? You mentioned toxins in your households and things like that. Tell us more about that.
Yes. So I am fascinated by one of the tests that I do is a total tox test. It's a little scary because you see all the stuff in your body, but I also think it's a blessing to preventatively clean up your body. Um, and really look at like what is taxing your body on a toxicity level because your liver could be burdened, your gut is never going to truly heal if you don't know that these toxins are living in there. And two of the biggest categories that I see are heavy metals.
Mhm.
So people are like, well, how am I getting heavy metal? Well, there's heavy metal in a lot of things. Your water, a lot of people think their fridge filter or their Brita filter is good enough, but we're getting shot down with things from jet fuel into our soil, into our food, through our water, through our products. Makeup, a lot of the shimmery stuff has metals in it. So you're getting exposed to metals a lot more than you think, and they're bioaccumulative, meaning that they store in your fat. And they do that because your body's actually trying to protect you. Your body knows, oh my gosh, this stuff is so bad. We don't want it like, going to the brain or, storing in the organs. So it stores in fat. And so it can be there for lots and lots of time. And especially with a lot of us had the silver mercury fillings. I just finished that whole process, 3-year process of getting that out of my mouth. But all of that stuff can be harbored in your fat, and then again causing inflammation, gut dysbiosis, they're neurotoxins. So that's one thing that I see a lot. The other
Mhm.
thing that like I never thought about until seeing hundreds and hundreds of clients is mold toxicity. And I don't know how much you know about mold toxicity, but I like coffee. I have one coffee a day, but I never knew I should be looking for mold tested coffee because coffee is susceptible to growing mold or peanut butter. Like if you don't refrigerate peanut butter, it can be grow mold and you don't like physically see it is the scary thing. Grains. And it's not just grains that you might cook in your house, but that if you're eating, chicken or cows that are fed grains, that's why you see like grass fed, right? They're consuming these things with mold, and then you are growing mold in your body, and it's so toxic. It's one of the worst things that I see in people. It leads to things like candida. So I see a lot of people who get treated for candida, which spirals to high estrogen, to spirals to PCOS. This is how you see like there's so many layers. And so if someone just says you have PCOS, no, you don't. You have potentially all of these other things, and we have to rule them out and have those conversations. Or you have high estrogen. It's not just that you have high estrogen into your liver. There's a lot of different avenues, but mold I've seen in a lot of people and not discussed with even functional medicine doctors. Like they just might treat the candida or the high estrogen, but it's not discussed. And there's so many health problems coming from mold. And then in addition to that, there's the everyday toxins. So the total tox test looks at like BPA. So we know that's linked to things like breast cancer that we were talking about earlier.
Mhm.
And then we have the thing is it opens the door to awareness of like, oh my gosh, I have all of this showing up, and some will be in the red, which is not good, yellow,
Uh-huh.
or oh, we got to clean that up, or the green, you might not have some, but I love it because it's a conversation with my clients. I don't treat the paper, I say. So I don't just give you the lab and go, all this stuff's wrong. take this stuff, it'll clean your body up, go to the sauna. We talk about,
Right.
well, why do you have high level of coppers? I have one client, she sent me this cool picture of all her water thing in the fridge was copper wiring. In her, she had such copper toxicity. And so we had the conversation, and then she sent me a picture that she had it, removed. But that is like the beauty of it is that yes, you have data, but then you can have a conversation about like, well, how did this happen and what it needs to change, or, what did I not know before?
Hmm.
The mold, heavy metals, like the plastic stuff, phthalates that are in like fragrance progress products and things, even environmental things. I had one client who her apartment was above the parking garage, like the car
Hmm.
underneath,
Oh,
and
yeah.
high levels of the gases from the cars in her system. And it's like, what? But you don't even think about it. Probably open our windows, people that live in the city, all the air pollution. That
Oh,
total
yeah.
tox test is amazing. And toxins are the biggest body burden. They're going to, wreak havoc on your immune system. They're going to cause inflammation. They're going to put your hormones out of balance. Neurologically, there could be, side effects from all of that stuff. So knowing, and that, that test is a $600 test. I don't get paid on testing. That's what the lab charges out of pocket. When you and I talk about the system being broken, I'm not anti-doctor, but unfortunately, our system works on a disease basis, right? Like you get sick, then we'll pay you the lab that you need, where functional medicine is all about preventative health. And I do think like you're worth the $600 to see like, what do I need to clean up in my environment?
I was just gonna say, is that something that you can say go to LabCorp or Quest and say, hey, I want to have this done, or do you have to go with a referral?
Yeah, you have to have a practitioner order it for you. So typically I just order it and it's just a urine sample. So they'll mail the kit to my client and then I'll get the lab report and then review it with them.
Okay. Okay. I know the rules or the systems I think have laxed a little bit because I know there's a
Mhm.
lot that you can go to LabCorp now and just request
Mhm.
yourself and say, hey, I want to pay
Mhm.
out of pocket. But I've had some of this done years and years ago. And to find a practitioner who was willing to order it again, just so
Mhm.
I could see, you don't need all of that. I'm like,
Mhm.
but I want it. But you don't need all of that.
Right,
You know it's going to be expensive, right? Like,
right,
yes,
right.
and I want
I'm
it.
willing to invest, right. I
And
do. I
that,
think it's such a blessing to be able to get a reading on what's going on.
well, and to be curious about your own health, be your own advocate, but also I'm hoping at some point that this becomes more mainstream.
Hmm.
Most of our traditional medicine practitioners are not going to be looking at these things. And I mean, obviously, I went to physical therapy school, so I don't have a medical background in that sense. But I mean, even us, we don't talk about any of these things. We
Hmm.
talk for maybe one lesson in all of PT school about nutrition.
Hmm.
Everything else I've learned has been outside of that. So
Hmm.
it's also empowering your clients to take ownership and ask
Sure,
questions.
sure.
You talk a lot about burnout and boundaries too. So I want to shift just a little bit. How do you help your clients with that and self-worth, recognizing their worth, creating those boundaries?
Yes, this is probably some of the most important work because, again, when we talk about the foundational things, I typically attract type A women. I say we attract what we are or what we were, right?
Yep.
I'm really good at boundaries now. I was recently spoke at a conference, and the gentleman that introduced me said, and Dee Davidson, she will teach you about boundaries. Good luck getting on her calendar, right? But I wasn't always
I
that way.
love that.
But if we can't, um, get through those foundational things and understand that we're just as important as everybody else, and the whole we can't pour into other people if we don't pour into it. That's all really true, and it does manifest in our health, especially when we suppress speaking our truth or overdo ourselves and say yes to too many things or give our energy to things that don't provide joy. I'm
Hmm.
51 this year, and I'm like, if it doesn't bring me joy, I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it, right? I used to
Yes,
feel guilty about it.
absolutely.
So when we talk about, some of my clients, they work with me first on the foundational things, which are diet, rest, exercise, stress, and some of these things before they do lab testing. And And the reason being that I tell them that no matter what the labs say, you have to get this stuff solid. This is the foundation to your health and vitality.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, a lot of people will start with that and then go to the labs. But regardless, I have a program. I have a program in my app, and the first like 5 modules are all about figuring out your why. And funny, I'm speaking at a physical therapist's office tomorrow night. So I was in his office this morning going over the presentation with him, and he was totally on the same page. He's like, sometimes, when we're younger, even our 20s, we don't go to the spiritual, not meaning religious, but the why, the purpose piece of it, right?
Oh yeah.
But then when we hit mostly like 40, I will say we start to get there. So we have to start with like, why do you want to get healthy? What things do you want to do? Imagining yourself being there, and then also believing it. I created an affirmation card deck, which I love, but I always say like, it's just like affirmations. If you read something and you don't believe that can be you, or I have a love-hate relationship with the vision boards. It's like if you cut all this stuff out, but you don't actually have that belief system that that can happen for you, it's not going to happen, right? So we have to talk about your why, self-love. Many of the women that I work with, they come to me and they say, I've had people say, I wash my hands in the bathroom. I don't look in the mirror. They don't like looking at themselves in the mirror, which makes me so sad. Or women who have said, I don't even know if I've ever loved myself. Like even as a child, they don't remember that, right? So
Yeah.
we have to first work on like, why do you want to do this? Because if we don't have buy-in, you're just going through another program, taking more supplements and doing all of that. Then we have to talk about like, do you love yourself? And if not, we have to really get to the roots of like, when did that shift? And for more than you can imagine, not just women, men too,
Oh yeah.
that was lost in childhood. Like that's your inner
Oh
child
yeah.
that you lost your self-worth, that you lost your love for yourself, and you started to have leaky boundaries. I say leaky gut's all about leaky boundaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's so funny that we're having this conversation today because my daughter asked me today, she said, Mommy, what's a martyr? And I said, that's somebody who gives up everything for either someone else or for a cause. And, she's 9. So that's really like probably as high level as we can get with her.
yeah.
But I think about like my mother's generation, we're all martyrs. And
Mhm,
I
mhm,
have colleagues and friends who are still total martyrs to their families. And until you can recognize I am worth
mhm.
taking care of myself
Right,
first and foremost,
right.
to then be able to give to
Mhm,
others.
mhm,
And not, I I remember my daughter was a baby and I felt like such a failure because I was like, my mom did it all. Why do I feel so overwhelmed? Why do I feel so stressed? She did it
mhm,
all. Why can't I? And then I
mhm,
had this light bulb moment of, but you shouldn't.
mhm,
You shouldn't, and you
mhm,
can't do it
mhm,
all. So that
mhm,
kind of started my journey of asking for and receiving help and belief in myself. And
mhm,
I'm hoping that you and I both can work with women and men to help this next generation to
mhm,
never be martyrs,
mhm.
to
And
never
and I say this,
give
I
and
have two
give.
boys, right? I have 2 boys, and it took me a long time. I went through a unexplained infertility and then an unexpected divorce, the uns, right? So I always say
Yeah.
there's no control, which is another piece of the burnout in women, right? Is that so many times they have to go back. One of my clients just the other day, she's like, this is going to be so hard because I'm used to counting calories and weighing my food, and relinquishing and surrendering and knowing that you don't have to do more, be more, or just do. I'm like, I always joke around with them. I'm like, I said be, not do. Like they come up with their to-do list, right? Or set your
Yeah.
intention for the day, not your to-do list for the day. What's your intention? How do
Uh-huh.
you want to feel? How do you want to show up? What do you see? Not your to-do list. We're always like check, 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 right? But with
Uh-huh.
my boys, they've grown up with me. I got separated when they were 4 and 6, and now they're 13 and 15. And so I have been pretty much on my own with them for like whatever. I'm like, how old is that? 8 years or whatever, right? And
Hmm.
Michael, my partner, he does not live with us, so they do see him around. He's a great role model and things, but they've seen me do all these things, run multiple businesses. I've always been an entrepreneur since they've been able to walk and talk. And I've traveled, so picked up traveling again and gave myself permission to do that. That it's not
Mhm.
like in the past, I would have been like, well, if I'm not taking my kids on the trip, right? Because that's how I grew up.
Right.
Like we went on family
Uh-huh.
trips, right?
Oh, I
That's
know. I
selfish. Like,
can't think of
how
my
can you
parents
do that, right?
ever going anywhere by themselves, ever.
Right. And so my son, they'll say things like, my son said the other day, oh, real nice. They're with their dad a set schedule and it's, 3 days. So I can go to Florida with my partner, right? Or go to a conference or a retreat or whatever. But, their mentality was, well, you're going without us. And that's not something they learned from me, but maybe society, right?
Uh-huh.
And so my son said, oh, that's real nice. You're in Florida all the time and you don't have your kids. And I turned around and I said, I hope you too can have this lifestyle if you choose to one day, that you don't have to be, and I speak to them in these terms all the time, right? You don't have to be a prisoner to the system, that you can go and enjoy in the middle of the winter a sunny place and get on a plane 2.5 hours and then you be back. And I'm right here when you come back, right? It's okay. It's not selfish. Or I have women say to me, I can't go to the gym because, or even work out, which I'm like, can you just get some stuff at home or go for a walk? Because they're kids who are, by the way, like in high school. They get them ready for school and then they go to work and then they feel like obligated to be by these kids' side, or even when the kids aren't home, be there by the phone if they need a ride somewhere, or, if they get that phone call. And, I've had the conversation with so many women about that because my kids, again, have seen me, and this was not the old me when I was married, shift to saying, like, I need to do this for my own physical health, for my mental health. And they just know, like, I'm going to the gym for an hour. Like, I'm not here to make you a snack. Like, I can make it if you need my help when I get back or before I leave, but it's not selfish to take that time. And, that's my hope too, is that we're shifting the next generations to say, okay, like it's not selfish to do things that serve me and my highest good.
Well, and you talk about, so many of my listeners do have kids, and those children are going to launch one day. And I've
Hmm.
had this belief long before I ever had kids. And I'm not really sure where it came from because like I said, my mom didn't really take a whole lot of time for herself. But the goal is that your children launch and that they leave and they're successful humans. And if you don't have a sense of identity, if you don't have self-worth,
Hmm.
self-concept, if you don't have hobbies and things that you enjoy, you are going to be lost when
Hmm.
those children launch.
Agree.
And little bit by little, if you can start figuring those things out now, not only will your life be so full of joy, but you won't have that sense of loss
Hmm.
when they do
Hmm.
leave and become successful humans outside of your house.
So true. And there are so many women, again, my clientele, who either they were home with their kids and their significant others were out working. There's still a lot of people that did that, or they just never really found their thing. And like all their friends were, through sports and their kids and playgroup, and everything was so centered around their kids that they are now wondering, like, who am I? What's my purpose? What do I do? What's my identity? And a lot of times these women will say to me, like, they're lonely. They're really lonely because they never established things outside of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so incredibly important that we look in the mirror every day and say, what do you want? What do
Yeah.
you want with life? What do you want with your future? What do you want with your entrepreneurial journey, your health?
Yes.
So, everything I've heard today, too, is just reminding women that deep down we can trust ourselves.
Hmm.
At some point in the line, you may have forgotten how, but
Hmm.
little bit by little bit, I hear first and foremost you teaching your clients trusting and believing in yourself again, first and
Hmm.
foremost,
Hmm.
and recognizing how you're feeling is not wrong.
Hmm. And that is one of the things that I also start my clients off with. I say to them, my number one goal, which truly is for my heart and soul, because it has just benefited my own health and happiness and livelihood so much, is that I can get you from autopilot, which most of, by the way, society is operating under, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like
Oh,
every
yeah.
single day you're doing the same things. You brush your teeth, da, 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 to being a conscious being and that you can reconnect with yourself and what you need. And that is different every day. So
Mm-hmm.
getting into this, I do the same thing every day. And oh, Monday, Wednesday, Friday is spin class, and I have to do that, or I feel bad, or I have to eat the same exact things. Do you know how many women eat the same food every single day for breakfast and lunch? It's crazy to me. I'm like, what? But
Some
being
of that's
connected,
perfectionism too, is having to do it exactly right, or
that's
it's
true.
or it's it's wrong,
That's
or I'm
true.
failing.
There's no in between. That's so true. But just being conscious and aware, especially for women still cycling. Well, this is a big thing where, we do want chocolate and chips. There's a reason for that, but understanding and working with someone to understand, like, why am I so ravenous right before my period, right? What
Uh-huh.
does my body need at different times of the cycle? Not just with food, but with rest. Like you have to be doing different workouts when you're, in your right before your period and things like that. So understanding and really listening and trusting. I love that. I just said that to someone yesterday. You don't need me to tell you if that is the right or the wrong thing to do. Go within and I just heard you yesterday say it without me telling you. Trust
Uh-huh.
yourself and getting back to that inner wisdom of, when you hear those little voices, they're really talking
Uh-huh.
to you, right?
Yes.
Don't doubt yourself.
Oh, this has been so incredible. I want to be super respectful of your time and make sure that everyone knows how to get in touch with you. How can they follow you? How can they consult with you if that's what they're looking for?
Yes, thanks for asking. So on Instagram, you can find me at confidently underscore love underscore yourself. And also, you can just go to my website, confidentlyloveyourself.com. There's a lot of free stuff under my wellness toolkits, whether it be the seed cycling guide when we're talking about timing of eating and your hormones. There's this awesome thing called seed cycling. Have you heard of it?
I haven't. I'll have to look into that.
Even eating certain seeds at different times of your cycle, and very helpful even during perimenopause where women aren't sure, like, is my period here to stay, is it coming back? Really helpful with your hormones during that time too. But there's a bunch of free stuff right on my website.
Awesome. Was there anything lastly that you would like to share with our audience? Anything going on in your world or just any lasting comments to make sure they hear today?
I would just say something that you said in a different way earlier, which is if you feel intuitively that something is off, it probably is off. And you have the right to ask questions and be an advocate for your health, or if it's someone in your family, ask the questions and keep asking around till you find the person that can get you the answers you need, because don't let people gaslight you. You're not crazy. It's not just because you're 30, 40, 50, or, you're too stressed and you need to relax and that's why you're not conceiving. That was the worst. Be an advocate for your own health, and it's your right. It's your birthright to be happy and healthy.
Yes. Oh, I love that so much. Thank you so much for being on today.
Thanks for having me.
As we close out today's episode, I want to leave you with this. Your next level is already within you. If you're feeling that pull for more clarity, more alignment, and more courage to step fully into who you're meant to be, this is your invitation to take the next step. Whether you're an entrepreneur ready to scale or a woman standing at the edge of something bigger, the path forward starts with trusting your desires, owning your worth, and leading with your inner knowing. This is exactly what I offer. Private VIP coaching, and where I guide women inside the 10K Club and 50K Club through consulting with She Sells and Superhuman Selling to help you gain clarity, step into aligned action, and build a life and business that reflects your highest vision. If you're ready to explore what's next, let's have a conversation. Book a free call now at www.corywinn.com/free call. I can't wait to connect with you. Talk soon.